Looks like we are live, and since I'm in the middle of talking, let me just I'll begin. Welcome back, everyone, to the Super Genius Business Minds with these lovely ladies and myself, the Ascension Coach. And we're just going to do a brief introduction. I already see that one person has hopped on, and then we're going to turn it over to the person who's going to kind of lead us and navigate us for today. So, I am James Knapp, the Ascension Coach. I help people connect with higher states of consciousness, align with their higher selves, and discover their soul's purpose, empowering them to live a life of love, abundance, and fulfillment. That is who I am. And Lisa, I'll let you go next.
Okay, thank you. So, and just for the clarification, Marie is my surname, everybody. It's not a hyphenated first name. That's a story with laying down on the couch with a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I have I've got many feathers in my cap of entrepreneurship. However, the mission that I have now is to help 1 million heart-centered entrepreneurs and leaders basically break through all the barriers of becoming the ultimate leader in their business, to be able to step into their full potential as well, and just bring those $1 million business ideas to life, and all of us help change the world together and make legacies. So I'm all about neuroscience, quantum physics, metaphysics, and high performance leadership. So I'm so excited to be here with my colleagues. And over to you, Melissa.
This is fantastic. I'm like surrounded by giants. It makes me so happy to be here, you guys.
Well, so you're up the beanstalk as well.
Sorry, say again?
I said you're up. Oh, this is Australian stuff. You're up the beanstalk as well with us. You know, you're Jack and the Beanstalk giant. Sorry. It's early on Tuesday morning in Australia here.
Yeah, but this group is even better because it's like we don't even need to be, because we lift each other up. If we weren't giants before, we together create like this uber giant, which is why we are the Super Genius Mastermind.
Uber giant.
That's right.
Sorry, over to you, Melissa.
Oh, thank you. Poor James. Last week, he's just like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be fun. And he still puts up with us. How amazing is that?
Only 4 weeks to go, James.
Well, my name is Melissa Robinson Weinmiller, and I do have to say hi to Ollie. He's out there. I see him. And I am the empathy lady, although Kevin Moreau, one of our other hounds, has started calling me the empathy queen. So I think I'm going to get a tiara because I kind of like it. And what I do is I work with business leaders to help them understand EQ and actually make it actionable and utilize it. But I do it through empathy, because empathy is the key to being able to tap all of that. And it will completely change your life. It raises productivity, it raises innovation, and it can raise profit up to 82%. And you cannot, I don't care who the grouchiest Montgomery Burns CEO out there is, you cannot argue with 82% profit growth. You just can't. So I get excited. I'm excitable. I love that. So what we are talking about today, as everybody saw come through on all of our web pages and everything, is talking about how fear impacts EQ. And that can be actually really important because fear is such a primal emotion. So I tend to approach things from a very analytical and a very business-centric kind of path. And the two ways that I see this play out more often than not is through vulnerability and, wait for it, scarcity. So the vulnerability side, it's because as leaders, people are trained to not show weakness, and they immediately think of EQ and empathy as weakness. Oh, my all-time favorite theory, it's considered weak because it's considered feminine. Throw that out the window. That is nonsense. There's nothing manlier than having courage, and to have empathy and EQ, you have got to have courage. But a lot of leadership is afraid of showing that vulnerable side, of being able to say, I don't know, of being able to actually step down from on high and understand that human connection. It's a big deal, but it is ideal. And unfortunately, a lot of this comes through our training. It comes through the training in business schools. It comes through the mentoring as people coming up through the company. So it takes a lot of courage to be able to say, I can be vulnerable. Brene Brown says that vulnerability is the thing that we look for most in other people, but restrict the most in ourselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think fear drives that as well, Melissa, because people have to face their emotions, and there's a lot of darkness down there.
Yeah. And face other people's emotions. Because if you're feeling someone else's discomfort, and if you're feeling empathy, you know you're going to walk into that and feel discomfort. It's like walking into a dark cave where there's a dragon. You know there's something there that you're probably not going to like, and you do it anyway.
Yes. Yeah. James, I actually interrupted you. Sorry, my friend. We need a buzzer. So the person who hits the buzzer first.
We need Mike with his time clock, with that awful time clock that sounds like
Family Feud. No, I just wanted to pause for a moment to let those who are watching and who are listening in, even if you're watching on replay, wanted to put up our QR codes for you. Let me just in case you have to leave early and you hear something that really resonates with you from either one of us, your three favorite three business minds. Just take a moment, maybe just kind of lock those into your phone or wherever you're watching from right now. And yeah, so now we'll bring it back up at the end. So that's all I wanted to do. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Sorry,
Lisa,
Melissa.
You are a bad influence, and I love it. Don't ever change.
I try very hard.
It's working. Challenge accepted.
A great example of leadership is you need to have fun. You need to just allow the humanness aspect, as long as you're not a grumpy Montgomery Burns, who's obviously got the Scrooge genetics. But I think fun is such a we all have an inner child at heart, and allowing playtime, especially filtering through the team, is so important. Anyway, back to you.
Well, I'll keep this short because I want to make sure everybody has time, because scarcity actually is part of it. So when we talk about scarcity, it's really interesting. There was some really interesting studies done by, I have to look because his name is Mullainathan and Shafir. I wanted to make sure I got that right. And they actually looked at scarcity and what it does neurobiologically to human beings. And what it does, it increases the stress hormones, it increases the cortisol, it increases all of that, so that you end up being under kind of a low level stress, which is not completely dissimilar from fear. So what happens is people will go in and they get super hyper focused on one thing. So you think of scarcity, it could be scarcity of time, scarcity of resources, scarcity of personnel, scarcity of just money, whatever it is. And of course, in business, especially now post-COVID, a lot of people are dealing with that kind of scarcity. So they'll go in to try and develop a problem, and they'll develop this hyper focus on one thing, so that these researchers call it a focus dividend, because that one thing you're going to be super hyper aware of. But then what happens is everything else around it falls away. You're lessening your bandwidth. And when you lessen your bandwidth, you actually lessen it through a lessening of fluid intelligence, which is just your basic intelligence that you can use it's like what they test on IQ tests. So it's not technical intelligence. It's not geared towards anything. It's the stuff that you can use for everyday stuff. right? It's kind of your biological intelligence, but it also decreases executive function, which goes straight to leadership. So through this scarcity mindset, you end up with this, they called it something else, but this chatter, this monkey brain all the time that never stops.
I think it would encourage inflexibility as well, Melissa, because they're so tunnel visioned. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, they actually call it the tunnel, and they call it the tunnel tax. So you get a focused dividend, but you end up with a tunnel tax and lessening of bandwidth, which as a leader, you can't afford to lose that executive function, which also includes self-control. So when somebody comes out and snaps at, their next in command or that kind of thing, you start losing that control because your control is all hyper-focused right there. And the flip side of that as well is, as a leader, if you're looking at your people and you have people that are suddenly displaying a lessening of bandwidth, that are suddenly displaying less self-control, that are suddenly displaying these things, a good question to ask would be, is there possibly some kind of new scarcity in their life that's causing this? Is this something at work where they're feeling a scarcity of time? Is there something going on where there's a scarcity of resource? So, I mean, these studies go on for 100 years and they're fascinating, but just the fact that you get an actual focused dividend and a tunnel tax, I was like, that's brilliant. And we all kind of know it. We've all talked about the monkey mind and having that ongoing chatter. So I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, James. Who wants to go after that? After all that boring book stuff.
That's good. That's
stop
good
it.
stuff.
It's not boring. It's not boring
at all. And it's, see, I come from and I love the three different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Because as I'm learning and listening, I'm thinking about the space I hold as consciousness, right? And for me, inside of consciousness, there's no such thing as scarcity. There's only abundance, right? And so I'm thinking, if my mind or my egoic mind is trying to convince me that there's some scarcity in me or in my reality, then it's for me to take a step back in that moment and go, this is not the truth. The truth is there's only abundance. And I'm thinking, even if I'm in an environment where I see others operating in that space, from the place that I come from, I'm projecting that, right? Like again, we have three different pathways that so if I'm seeing someone operate in a lack mentality, a scarcity mentality, I'm usually looking at, where's that in me? Where do I
As
need
in
to
a mirror?
Right, exactly. Because for me to be conscious of it means I'm holding it in my consciousness somewhere.
Yes.
And so as I'm listening and, like I said, learning, Melissa, from your perspective, those are the kind of things I'm thinking about. That, first of all, scarcity isn't real. There's only abundance. If I'm recognizing it show up in my mind in the dream, and if I'm recognizing it showing up in my 3D reality dream, it's now for me to step back and remember the truth. Wait, what am I doing here? There's only abundance. There's only abundance, and then operating from that new space.
And that's what they found.
Oh, wow.
That's what they found, is that the best way to take yourself out of scarcity is to they called it, taking your attention somewhere else, looking at somewhere else. But if you can convince yourself the scarcity isn't there, like by bringing forth abundance, that's the solution.
Wow. Yeah. And that's, for me, that's and it's been a process, at least for me, and I imagine that's the same for whoever is on whatever path they're on, of getting to that place where, because for me, that there's, I know some semantics here, but for me, no, that's the truth. The truth, it's just remembering the truth, that there's only abundance. And so if I'm seeing something that looks contrary, first of all, I'm giving that meaning, right?
Yes.
Like it's not a fact.
That's right.
I am applying that meaning or my egoic mind is applying that meaning, and I'm agreeing with it.
Yes.
And so it's for me to disconnect, detach from that mindset that says there's even such a thing as scarcity, and again, just remembering the truth. And usually I can almost immediately recognize the shift when I go there. But my point was that for those who are watching and those who are listening, it is a process. So we're saying be gentle with yourself through the process of remembering or convincing or whatever that there's only abundance. There's only abundance, and that just being gentle with yourself and remembering that it's a process.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And hey, Isabel, how you going, honey?
I love Isabel.
I'm not connected to LinkedIn this week. I was actually, I noticed my head was down reading comments last week. So I thought I'd just engage today. So hello, everybody who's joining us, and thank you so much for being here. James, that's so incredible. And from the abundance perspective, the grass and the plants and the trees, there's no effort in growing, and they grow as tall and as brilliant as they can. So that's so true of whatever is going on. You've attached a story to that meaning because of some experience in your life, and then there's an emotion attached to that, and so then that drives your actions.
Absolutely. And shout out to D Grant.
D.
Yeah, we love D also.
Superman's in the house.
Right. I missed something, and just pivot for a second. I missed something about some superhero. I gotta go back and see that. I'm sure that's good.
Well, I jumped on a LinkedIn a number of weeks, months. It's a bit of a blur. And here is D on the screen in a Superman outfit. And I just thought, that is so cool. Like, that takes some knackers to show up online in a kid's superhero outfit.
Yeah.
And seriously, the guy had me at hello just because of he was so just being himself, and I love that. Shameless plug. Melissa and I are doing a live event tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Shameless plug away. So James, is there anything else you would like to add to before we continue and I do my little bit?
Well, no, we want you to do your little bit, and then we'll just circle back. We'll circle back.
I brought props.
Oh my.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
Because the scientist in me will never leave.
I love it. I love the scientist in you.
First of all, we have the brain.
Ooh.
Yes. And I want y'all to know. See, even this Aussie gal can say y'all.
You've been hanging around with Mike too much.
Daggum? I don't know how to say that one. Daggum? What is it?
Daggum?
Yeah, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, whatever.
So, yeah, whatever. That's an Aussie saying. I don't know if it's universal. We have lots of sayings, but I want y'all to know you are not your brain. This is literally a lump of plastic right here, but in here in the noggin, it's just tissue. And there's billions and billions of neurons in there, all doing something. Generally, when you're in fight and flight, none of them are talking together. You have this massive incoherent brain. Yes, there is only love and abundance. But what I want to just talk about, a little science fact, that when it's behaviors are generally programmed in us up to about the age of 5 or 7. And some events in that process we've all experienced fear as a child in some form or another. It could have been a scary spider. It could have been, a loved one die, whether it be a pet or a relative, and the fact of death has scared the heck out of us. We don't know what that means. Parents fighting. So whatever, we've all experienced fear, and that program often is playing over and over and over up until about the age of 35. So it becomes so hardwired that we become that personality based on all of those programs running. So, James is always talking about consciousness. So if we just keep it really simple, we've got our unconscious programming, we've got our conscious brain, and then we've actually got a super conscious, which is so powerful. And that's the person we want to become. And we've got over 70,000 thoughts a day of this redundant blah going on in the background that is driving the car. In fact, if we talk about fear, we all have shadows. And if we don't learn to process them and let them go, as James is talking about, you create an identity and a story around that. So you become that. And so you could be driving the car and fear's in the back seat with its hands around your neck. And you're saying, okay, I want to keep going straight. And fear's saying, you've got to turn right. No, I want to keep going straight. And the hold is getting tighter and tighter. No, I want to go straight. No, you're going to turn right. And so you turn right. And fear has actually made you take that course of action. And it's so unconscious that you become so overwhelmed that you can't even override it. And it's a reflex action. Just like somebody who, you could be having a very bad day and somebody walks in the door and they ask a question and you snap at them. And because you're already turned on. And when you're turned on, that fight and flight, that is your state of being. Those hormones of stress Melissa mentioned, cortisol and all those yucky things, that is actually running the show. And we become, it comes down to the neuroscience and the epigenetics. Epigenetics is actually the little signals on the outsides of the cells waiting for those hormone receptors. And you almost become a junkie to the fight and flight. If you don't have a crisis, what happens is often you'll be doing something to make a crisis happen so you get the hormone fix. This is actually science proven.
Yeah.
And I brought props, as I said. So if we think about, this is a person who lives in fight and flight. It's a cup of water with some dirt in it. And this is their normal state of being. And when the thing happens, it stirs it all up. And this is flooding through their body. And then they will never get back, if they don't deal with it, to a state of clarity, because there's all of the hormones of stress living in and driving their condition. And so you make poor decisions, you have poor relationships, you may not manage money, you don't look after your health, all of these things. And if you notice, there's actually no room for growth because it's so full. And so even if, and so, when you have an abundant mind and you're learning and there's always room for growth, we can continue. I feel like Professor Julia Sumner Miller right here. We can continue our beautiful growth journey. And if a crisis happens, only a little bit of soil comes in. And then we learn how to clear it really quickly because we've learned how to disassociate with the emotional body, as James was saying, attach a new story and a new meaning to something. It's literally recoding and rewiring. And that's really where the expertise that I have of going deep allowing someone to go really, really deep within and find that darkness. We have a process of extracting it and then assigning a new meaning to the vision of your future. And it's powerful. And unless we, and James and Melissa will agree with me on this, unless you clear all of that muddy water in your system, every time a trigger happens, you're going to do that. Yeah. And that is your state of emotional intelligence. Not so good.
Yeah.
At all. Melissa, you want to add to that, or?
I think that's a drop the mic moment. I could try to add to that, but I don't know why.
It is a drop the mic moment. I mean, when you bring out the dirty water with the stirring thing, there's nothing else that can follow that, to be honest.
Sometimes the visual really makes it go, oh.
Absolutely, because I was enthralled. I was like, oh, okay. No, seriously. Matter of fact, I was like, I'm gonna have to let Lisa know when she sees me do that on one of my lives.
Yeah.
And I got that from her. I will give you a shout out. But I got this from my friend Lisa. She was, but that was genius to do that. And it makes me think of something that I started talking about 2 years ago: experience, reaction, experience. Yeah. That whatever shows up on the screen of our reality is actually neutral until we give meaning to it. Yes. So if we're giving a negative meaning to it, or meaning that this is bad, that reaction, that negative reaction is now creating more like experiences. So there's just the experience, which is neutral. Then there is how I react or respond to it that's going to determine what that next experience looks like. And I did this around clients, and some of them are on the hounds, who were wrestling with clients either not signing, either clients not being available for them, or clients not opting into their product and services. And the one thing I was trying to emphasize with them is be mindful of what you're thinking and feeling in this moment. Because if you are in a woe is me state, then that's going to be your next experience as well. Yeah. Right? Like you are literally in control over what shows up in your reality based on this now moment, this here moment. How am I responding to this? Because that's going to determine what that next experience looks like. I call it experience, reaction, experience.
Yes. And the vibration that you're giving out, and we've got the queen of resonance and frequency in the house here, our beautiful musician, that whatever frequency and resonance you're putting out, it is literally coming back to that mirror thing. It's going to bring to you the same vibration. And so if you're negative and angry, you're going to get negative, angry people coming your way. And these vibrations are actually, they're measured in science. There's an incredible thing called the Hawkins funnel, which, because we're electromagnetic beings, and because we can measure our EEG, our ECG, we can measure the frequency going on in our body. And within the Hawkins funnel, it also aligns with the chakra system from survival through to enlightenment. And fear is down in the primal survival areas, in the lower areas. And that there was a research done that 70% of the people who were measured were vibrating at the frequency of fear. So the scarcity, and the media doesn't help, the social media doesn't help, the government doesn't help. I mean, it's all scaremongering to keep us in a state of fear. So it's up to us as an individual to take 100% responsibility to say, well, is that real, or is that just information we're getting fed to keep us scared? And that's a big reason why I do not watch the news, and I don't scroll on social media. Social media is a connection tool and a business tool for me. So I think we can think about that as well. You become the average of the 5 people you're hanging around. So who's the 5 people? And that's online as well.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to be surrounded by powerful people here. So thank you.
Just 2 quick things. I can do this real fast. First of all, that when you bring on music and you're talking about, because music is energy, sound waves are energy. That's it. That's what it is. And it's energy that's so powerful that you can feel it. But in music, if you get 2 instruments that are playing right next to each other, and they have to be like instruments, but if they are so in tune, you know what I mean by in tune, out of tune, where you've created that connection and that frequency where it's the same, you actually get what are called resultant tones. And that means you're not just getting the tone that's happening now, it layers overtones on top of it. So now you don't just have the vibrations that are happening here, it's compounded.
I'm getting chills because I know exactly that sound, and it's almost like a tuning fork. And actually,
it is.
Yeah, it's called entrainment, right? Is that the term for it? Entrainment? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you get those extra overtones. And it's the first time you feel it, it's really odd because it'll make you actually feel it. You feel your eardrums. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I love that. I love that.
I love that,
Lisa. I love that Lisa
I'm
has
in the
the visual
playground.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm coming over to your house. I'll be
Yes,
there tonight.
absolutely.
I was seriously awake at 2 a.m. and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's like going into a playground. There's slippery discs and merry-go-rounds, and I've got a seesaw, and so funny.
So does someone want to tackle? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Melissa. And then after Melissa speaks, does someone want to tackle Dee's question?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is actually quick too, because it's just because of the harmony that we have between us. Every single time we may come at this from very different angles. We may come at this from different backgrounds, but it doesn't matter. We keep reaching the same conclusions, which means that the power is, the resonance is there. The harmonics are there. This is what it is. It's universal truth. And I don't care how we get to it. It always leads to the same place.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dee asked the question, what do you advise for us to clear the muddy water?
Would you like to answer that?
For me, it's something simple. And it's so simple, it almost doesn't seem like it doesn't make sense. But for me, it's repetition. Right? Because each time you remember the truth, that's now your reality. It's remembering the truth that's now your reality, but then because of the conditioning and the programming that Lisa talked about earlier, it's easy to slip back into a different way of being. And so I need to keep returning back to the truth. And it's almost as if I'm dumping, each time I return back, I'm dumping some more of the soot outs, more of the mud out. So for me, the simple answer is I call it home. Continue to get back home. Continue to get back home to the truth. And the more you do it, the more you embody it, the more everything shifts.
66 days to rewire a new neural pathway. Just thought I'd pop that in there. So yes, repetition, and it's not a part-time repetition. Like it's you need to be obsessed to change your state of being. And so just quickly, if I may, and it's doing exactly what you're saying, it's actually letting go of those stories and those things from the past and putting in clean water until we actually end up with the beautiful clean state of being. And that takes a process. So over and over and over again of removing. And it's not, it's actually being able to let it go emotionally to there's there's so many things, so many layers to it, from the emotional perspective of letting go of judgment, of shame, of guilt, of blame, of putting in forgiveness and gratitude and all of those things to raise your vibration, and once you let go of that mud, you actually allow space for the new to come in. If you don't let it go, there is no space to allow the new in.
Yeah. And D follows that with, is it just thinking the new thought, or does bringing feelings into it make a difference too? And I can kind of feel Superman leading us on this one. And it's important that it's important that we do bring that out. That's when I say embody, that's what I'm implying, that it's gone from here to now here, which is that emotional feeling piece, where you go from believing it to knowing it. But I'll let you two ladies add on to that.
Melissa, you could guide leaders to go on retreat, hey?
Though, I mean, it is. If you don't connect it with the feeling and with the heart, I mean, that's why I preach empathy, right? Because we are connecting on that emotional level. I mean, that's why cognitive empathy doesn't work, because it's all up in the brain. It's got to be in the heart. It's been proven over and over and over again. So everything is just underscored and highlighted. If you don't have that embodiment in the heart, no amount of thinking is going to get you there. Just like you showed with your piece of plastic matter.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
No one's home.
My husband says I'm a hard head, but I don't think he thought it was my brain.
So we circle back to the question, and we present this to all of you who are watching and listening. Is fear driving your emotional intelligence?
Right.
And if you are still having questions about that, you feel that we didn't answer that, because we're going to be closing out in a few minutes. If you need more clarity around that, just drop a question saying, hey, I need more clarity around that. But we definitely want you to take what you've heard from myself, from Lisa and Melissa, and really challenge yourself with that question. Is fear driving my emotional intelligence? And hopefully we've dropped some tools and some nuggets that will kind of create a shift for you.
Yes. Reflection is so powerful, and we all need to definitely do some self-reflecting if life is not where we want it to be. And the answer's in the mirror, isn't it, James?
Absolutely.
I didn't mean you.
Just you, nobody else.
At you, by the way. We were talking about that, Anyway, that came out wrong. So sorry.
No, but that is because because I can go deep in my reality.
Yeah.
There only exists me in different forms. So there's only James in different expressions. Well, not James, the character avatar, but the I am is
in the multiverse.
Exactly.
We can go really spacey here.
Exactly. So
this has been fun.
Yes,
it's happened too soon, Isabel. But we've got some really interesting topics coming up over the next handful of weeks.
And I want you ladies, because y'all challenging me to step my game up. Melissa, you have something coming up soon, I think tomorrow. Lisa, you have something coming up soon. So as we close out, why don't you ladies kind of touch on that?
Go ahead, Lisa, because you're on happy hour this week.
Yeah. Well, I'm blessed to be the guest. James is perfect. We are all perfectly imperfect, just the way we are.
Yes.
So, but yeah, you're a brave man. Brave man, James, sitting among. Well, we're all roses here, aren't we? I wasn't going to say.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm a guest on the Hounds of Business. Thank you, Mike Asher-Branner. I hope I said that correctly. And Wednesday, 7 p.m. EST. So you'll see the link on my profile, on my LinkedIn profile, very soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. And Melissa?
I am on with the best, the brightest, the hostess with the mostest, Izzy Fortman tomorrow night. And it's going to be fantastic. We're really fleshing out different ways in which empathy affects leadership. So tomorrow we're going to look at empathy and communication specifically. So this will be good. It's kind of like us in that I can't guarantee what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it'll be a good time. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be bright and exciting.
Go get some props.
And we don't want to leave out. Isabel is a co-host on
yes.
that with Melissa. So
yes, and she's the co-host on Wednesday. I'm trying not to say Australian time. Wednesday night with the Hounds of Business as well. So she's an incredible, such an incredible co-host as well, and a host. She has her own incredible show, which I think we've been blessed to be on. So yeah, go and check Isabel out. Like you want to get to know this lady. She's
we love Isabel. Yeah,
powerful lady. Powerful.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm actually going to throw this out there because we're here. She did a fantastic interview earlier today that she wasn't the co-host. She was actually the interviewee, and it was phenomenal.
Oh.
But at the end of it, she put out the call that she wants more people for her YouTube channel. So for anybody out there that's listening, go subscribe to Isabel Fortin's People, Passion, and Purpose YouTube channel.
I love
there you go.
I love how we support each other.
Beautiful.
So okay, Isabel, you got it. You have said nothing but a word. Isabel said, James, you need to come on my show. Just send me whatever you need to send me, and I will be there. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to close out now. And
I'm ready.
what
I'm ready.
What Lisa's probably for, hold on 1 second. Let me move the comment out the way. Okay, so once oh gosh darn it. Okay, hold on. Okay, so once again, we did this at the beginning of the show. If you're watching this live, if you're watching some replay, and something was said from one of these amazing people that resonate with you, and you want to know how to get in touch with us, just take a moment and capture the QR code, and we look forward to hearing from you. We really do. So, all right. So closing comments. Let me move this out of the way here. All right. So closing comments. Is fear driving your emotional intelligence? For me, since I'm already talking, for me, we just want you to be mindful. I can speak for myself, but I think I'll speak for Lays as well. We just want you to be mindful of, again, what am I thinking in this moment? How am I defining this moment? Understanding that I'm in control over what meaning I give to this. And based on how I react or respond in this moment, it's going to determine what that next moment and experience looks like.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, beautiful people.
And you can choose.
Yes.
You can
Choice
choose.
point.
So keep a cool head and a warm heart.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we will see you all on next Monday with another amazing topic. As these ladies already shared with us, they're going to be on the rest of this week as well. So follow them, find out where these events are taking place, and we will see you all next Monday. Love and appreciate you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.